Well, you mentioned Hopewell. This is not a part of Tim's story that I was very familiar with. You think of Tim Keller, New York City, reaching cities, but I think it was 9 years in rural Hopewell, Virginia, right?
75 to 84. That's right. Well, it's south of. I mean, it's semi-rural. It's south of Petersburg. Or Richmond, I should say, kind of that Richmond-Petersburg area. But yeah, so semi-rural, an industry town, put it that way, an old DuPont industry town.
So his formations are I mean, you have on one, you have the academia, but then you also have this church where he's preaching, 3 sermons a week, and he's doing all the visitations on the edge of burnout, and that part of the story that you told and the ways that it formed him, I think is really relatable to a lot of pastors around the country. So it was just interesting to see the wide variety of
1,500 sermons preached there. Wow. 1,500 sermons that he preached in those 9 years. And I'll just give you one anecdote from that. Was talking with Bruce Henderson, who was the best man at their wedding, Tim's best friend in college. And I was asking him about the move to Hopewell from Gordon Conwell, and because obviously they're very young, and you're moving into a church on a 3-month appointment in a congregation that has only 2 college graduates who are both elementary school teachers, and where most of the members did not complete their education beyond the 6th grade. Okay. That's the context back there in the 1970s, 75. And I asked Bruce about that, and he said, yeah, Tim called me and was asking me some questions, and obviously didn't get paid very much. And Bruce says, yeah, they wouldn't have made a strong impression. And I'm just thinking, well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure the church, they must have been desperate, I think is what he said. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, Tim and Kathy were actually studying to be postal workers training to be postal workers because they couldn't get hired in a church. Keep in mind, they had become Presbyterian. They were wanting to do the PCA. They were complementarians, male leadership, and they were in New England. And the PCA was brand new, 5 years earlier. So there weren't options for them. They didn't have any connections in the South. So they just didn't know that they had any options there. And Bruce says, yeah, they must have been desperate. And I said, yeah, of course Tim and Kathy were desperate. He said, no, I mean the church must have been desperate. He says, I don't think Tim would have made a strong impression on them. That's one of the things that Tim has grown a lot over time. And I think Tim and Kathy both were not exactly the most social, kind of social elite out there, but that part of ministry was a way that they definitely grew. They grew together, they grew individually, and grew to be prepared for the ministry that they would go on to do together.